Welcome to Air and Earth Science Week 2021 production. It's filmed entirely on Wiradjuri Country, so we'd like to start with an acknowledgement of that country. We pay respect to elders past and present, and we're very lucky to have Uncle James Ingram help us on this video production. The aim of this video was to help inspire you to go and do environmentally friendly things in your own backyard. But what I'm also hoping is by the end of it, you start to understand how Western science and First Nations knowledges intermingle and overlap, and how they don't necessarily need to be classified as separate. It's actually more helpful and more beautiful, I think, as well, if we understand how they intermingle and go together. So we hope you enjoy the video. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the sights and sounds of this beautiful Wiradjuri country.
There's an old saying amongst us Wiradjuri, right, that you're not home unless you can smell the Wiradjuri River. For us here on the Wiradjuri River, people who've always been on the Wiradjuri River have such an affinity with it. Murra means big, Bidji means boss or mate, and when it's in flood he's our boss, when it's in drought he's our boss, and it's a male river, by the way. My people are Wiradjuri people. We have an overarching totem of the Goanna, the Guga, but we're also known as Binan Villa people, many rivers people. So we used to control the Yindi Mullawa, which is the Murray, Murrumbidgee, the Glimmering, which is the Lachlan, and the Macquarie. So for us, we are water people. It's very important to us to understand our river systems and our creeks and our streams and all the water life, aquatic species that live in it, and the bird life that lives on top of it, and how we interact with those things. Without water, you die straight away. It's a vast commodity that we protected up until smallpox and other poxes got into our system and killed most of our people, but we still haven't given up on the river, and we don't think the river's going to give up on us. So can't smell the Wiradjuri River, mate, you're not home. They say my people have been here for 60,000, maybe 80,000. There's some thoughts now around some the shell middens that they've been finding that we've been here for 150,000 years. What I'd say to you is that those plants have been here for millions of years. And so they've adapted and stake their claim to where they live. We work in with them, their availability to a certain area. We have a song line that's particularly important to the river and a red gum, the Eucalyptus camellia densis. It's a yari plant. It's been holding up the banks of the Wiradjuri River for millions of years. They've evolved just like other plants. They know what they're there for. They grow. They give us everything that I've just mentioned, and then eventually, as the river moves, they fall into the river and they provide habitat for fish. And we use them when we're blocking off lagoons after floods, when the little fish have gone in there looking for calmer waters, and we block the lagoons up, and then those fingerlings, small fish, grow into fish. So we have a ready-made food source by the tree falling into the river and us using it in times of flood to ensure that we've got a food source down the track. I would say to you, as a Wiradjuri person who's lived on Wiradjuri land all my life, except for the couple of years I spent in Sydney, is that my family have white box as one of our trees, which is part of our responsibility to look after country. So we have an affinity with the white box, but that doesn't say that we don't love what the red box does for us. And the yellow box, it's good for fires and all that sort of stuff. But they belong here on Wiradjuri Country. Right? This is their land as well as ours. So I would say to you that as a Wiradjuri person living on Wiradjuri land, I would like to see provenance of Wiradjuri plants that live here. If you want Western Australian plants, move to Western Australia. The Australian bush is losing its identity as well. It's not right. I mean, silver ash and golden ash and all those other type of trees don't belong on the banks of the Wiradjuri River or our lagoon system. They don't belong there. It's not their land, basically. They shouldn't be there. And then those plants then lean over the backyards or side of the yard, and the seeds fall into the drainage system, and then the drainage system washes them down to a point where they're all collective, and then next thing you see this area that's totally polluted by all these backyard escapees. People just forget about those places, but in the case, say, of Flowerdale Lagoon, for instance, where all the stormwater drains out to, there are all these trees that don't belong on the riverbank there because they've escaped from somebody's backyard. They've floated down in the stormwater system. They've found a place when there's been plenty of water, and then they've settled when the water's receded, and then they spread their shoots, and bang, you have an area where it's basically backyard escapees, wild bush. I would prefer that people look at our beautiful natives that are in this country. Some of them are very bright coloured and do the same job as some of the ones that are imported from overseas. I just think if you're in Australia, you need to be aware that these are our native plants and that they can do the same job as your imports. I tell you now that if you really think about your backyard and you're planting species that are going to attract some of the native bird life, and then you're sitting out the back and you've got all those kingfishers coming down and having a feed, honey eaters and tree creepers and all the rest of them. I just think the Australian bush and native birds, they're great together. And I couldn't think of anything better than sitting out the backyard looking at them. Banksias and your bottle brush, they're the plants I go for. I think they look really nice. I'm not a big fan of wattle colours, especially like Cootamundra wattle. Yeah, a bit of a pest these days, but other wattles are quite good. There are many eucalypts here. We've got our scented gums, which are really beautiful, out, sitting in the backyard, smelling them, letting the breeze carry the scent, and they're so colourful. They're all different coloured, and they look good here. If you get hold of books, or even go and see some of the native nurseries, they'll put you right about what plants are from Wagga, What ones are from the riverina, which ones belong on the banks of the Murrumbidgee River and in your backyards. When they get a look at what you've got, they can recommend the right plants for you. There has to be a complete rethink about the type of plants that are sold in nurseries, and they have to be directed by government. So there has to be a move federally and state and local to ban trees like privet trees. They're bad for your health. They cause asthma amongst children. But because, Lady Macquarie had one in her front yard, and then every non-Indigenous people in New South Wales and then Victoria had to have one, privet escaped. Birds eat the black fruit that's on the privet and take it and spread it. And then it's in the bush and everybody's saying, oh, geez, how wonderful the bush looks. But when a closer inspection, it's a total mess.
Want to have a go at caring for your local environment? Sometimes you don't need to look any further than your own backyard. A bit of gardening can go a long way towards nourishing yourself and the local environment. The rewards are there, a sense of feeling grounded, happy and fulfilled. Not to mention the healthy aspect of just getting your hands in the dirt. Native plants have that little bit of something special about them. By planting natives, you are helping life flourish in your local area. You're doing something against all those depressing news stories about climate change and extinction. Native plants help us feel a connection to where we live. They give us an idea of what being a local is all about. They sustain insects, reptiles, mammals and birds of our region. They're an important building block of our local ecosystem. Healthy ecosystems provide the building blocks of life. Clean water, clean air, food, textiles, the list goes on. But just as importantly, they help us feel good. The sights and sounds of a healthy ecosystem help us feel calm, grounded and happy. We can all have a go at planting natives. Whether they are pots on a balcony or a large paddock planting, we can all have a crack.
We might think of urban areas as places where nature has been destroyed, but urban areas can be a haven for nature. In times of drought or heat, our backyards can become important refuges for birds, bees and mammals seeking food, water and shelter. Our gardens are connected and can influence far beyond our fence line. An easy way to help local biodiversity is to remove weeds from our gardens. Privet has been a popular garden plant in Wagga Wagga, but it can easily spread far beyond our backyards. Privet produces berries that are attractive to some birds. The birds visit your garden, feast on the berries that contain seed and then travel on. Eventually that seed is going to come out the other end and the bird may deposit that seed in bushland. As the privet grows, it outcompetes other native plants. Berries form and the process of spread continues. Replace privet or other weeds with native plant species, and always remember to place garden clippings in your green lid bin. We can also think of our backyards as stepping stones or rest stops for animals such as possums and birds as they travel across our region. It's just like if we take a long trip, we need somewhere to take a break, eat some food and drink some water before we head on to our final destination. Planting native plants in our garden provides food and shelter for native animals. Native plants are also suited to Australia's tough weather conditions. Easy to source local options include Happy Wanderer or Sticky Everlasting Daisy, or larger bottle brush and wattle for nectar feeding birds and mammals. Placing water in shallow dishes or paddle pools with perching spots on hot days is a great way to help wildlife. You can also keep logs or rocks on the ground to provide habitat for ground-dwelling animals like lizards. This also provides protection from dogs and cats. There is enormous potential locked up in our backyards to support and improve biodiversity, and it's so rewarding to see new animals visit your garden.
Hello, my name's Kate and I work at the Wagga Nursery. I'm here to give you a few steps and tips that I hope will make you feel confident about going into your local nursery and selecting native plants. So step 1, go out into your backyard and have a think about the following questions. Where would you like some plants? What's it like there? Is it sunny or shady? How big would you like those plants to grow? What sorts of colours would you like to see? And what types of animals would you like to attract? Step 2, take a video or pictures of your backyard that you can show to the nursery staff. This will make plant selection much easier and give you a much greater chance of purchasing and planting something that will reward you for years to come. Step 3, check out the Wagga Flora website at waggaflora.com. Here you can get an idea of what plants you would like the look of. And don't forget to check how high they grow. Step 4, you're ready. Once you have a rough idea of where you want to plant and what you might like, come into the nursery and we can have a chat about what could work in your backyard or even balcony. Planting natives is a great way to support the local ecosystem. When you get your plant selection right, you will enjoy your new addition for years to come, along with the wildlife it will attract.
Hey guys, how you doing? Elton from Air and Earth here. I'm actually in the Air and Earth garden. I work here as a garden manager, and today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about biodiversity, and more to the point, soil biodiversity. You need soils to be really healthy, obviously, for plants to grow. So I'm going to give some examples of some soils that aren't so diverse with life and energy, and then show you how to hopefully make your soil more diverse with creatures and creepy crawlies and vitamins and minerals for when you plant a new native seedling. So if you come over here down to this wheelbarrow, I have first of all 3 different types of soil. So this one is probably a lot like what you have at home if you dig down probably a foot or 30 centimetres or something. It's clay base. There's not much life in it. Natives will grow in this because they like this type of soil, but you can make the soil better for them so they'll grow better and they'll encourage more life. Here is sand. Obviously there's sandy soils in the area as well and all over Australia. Sometimes it's a mixture of both, and obviously not much grows or lives in sand unless you're going to do some seedlings or something like that, like some cuttings. And I've got some leaf litter here which is just shooting with this stuff. So I'm first of all going to mix this stuff together and show you how much it changes when I start mixing it. I'm going to add a little bit of water just to help it mix. This is the fun bit. So I've got sticks and leaves and obviously the sand and the clay all mixed together. Now, maybe a bit more water. Now, if you had this in your pot and you're planting a tree or a seedling or something into it, it's going to grow really well in this because it's got a lot more energy than just clay or sand, because the stuff in here is going to, leaves and things like that are going to start to break down and they'll start to attract insects as well. But if you just put this on the ground, it's not going to look that great, so we have to mulch over it also. So I've got a salt bush here, a river red salt bush seedling that's grown in the garden here. So I'm going to put this in the ground and show you guys. Maybe first of all, let's have a look at the soil here. So we'll scrape this away. Can you already see all that white stuff there? That already means there's life, because there's so much energy in the soil already. Let's see if we can find some bugs. Let's see if there's any there. Well, I can't seem to see one. Oh, there we go. There's something. Not that I know much about insects, so I don't know the name of it, but basically there's stuff living in here is what I'm trying to say. So if you had, I could plant this in here now and it'll be fine, but we'll imagine that this is a barren soil, or it's not that life, doesn't have that much life in it. So you know, obviously you dig into your soil at home and you make your hole. As it gets deeper, you can see it's getting more clay because the clay is further down. Check if it's going to be the right size. So maybe a little bit deep, something like that. So I'm going to tap it, be gentle with it as possible. It's got roots, so you know it's going to be all right. I won't tease it too much or play with it too much. Now I'm going to get some of this good stuff. I'm going to put it in there. So that's going to break down in there and it's going to give it more energy. And then I'm going to put this over the top. And then, just for added bonus, added energy so this plant grows really well and adds more diverse things to the soil, I'm going to put this in here. So as it rains and gets watered in and stuff like that, it's going to break down. It's sort of like composting, but it's just no food scraps and stuff in it. It's natural, well, indigenous, I could say, composting. I'm going to make a bit of a well like that, so when it rains or you water it, water does sit there for a while. So like that, that's great. It'll grow really well. But obviously mulch looks a lot nicer. So at home, you can use any type of mulch. I'm using just some chips, wood chips, and as you can see, it's not just wood chips, it's got leaf in it too, which again adds a lot more diversity. So maybe one more, turn it around. Obviously it looks a lot better than what it was. And again, as the rain comes or you water it, it's going to break down and it's going to create more life. So it's going to attract worms, slaters, all different types of bugs that you can see and can't. There's lots of stuff, microbes and things you can't see in the soil that helps the soil get better and helps plants grow more and attracts, you know, more life. More life, more energy means the plants will grow better. And if the plants grow better, they create more air. What do we need to breathe? Air. So it's really, really important, I believe, to have healthy soils. Diverse soils, full of energy and life. Try this at home, it's really easy. Just get some clay, some sand, some wood chips, some leaves that have fallen off your tree. They can be deciduous ones too, it doesn't have to be eucalypts. Give it a go at home. I guarantee that if you do this to your whole garden, over time, everything's going to be much more healthy. And if you're out the back of the yard, you know, everything's much more healthy, and you're looking at it while you're drinking your tea, I reckon you'll be much more happy. And that's got to be a good thing. 2 wins, you know. Healthy soils, healthy people. Give it a go. Have a great day.
Finally, it would be great if you can share your good work with others. Just pop onto the Wagga Wagga Sustainability Share Facebook group and share some photos of your good work to inspire others to do the same.